Hello everybody, this is Pajama Boy Project Leader Wolves here. So this is a new playtest build. We just got this out yesterday and we had to do a couple hot fixes, which is why this didn't come out a little bit sooner. But we're going to show off a bit of the summoner today. Now this build is so work in progress, it's not even funny. Like, there is so much we still have to do, so much we still have to fix and balance and all that important stuff that comes along with it. But I thought you guys would like the look into how we do things in the playtesting stage, and kind of I know I certainly love seeing development stuff, like when things are still early, so I'm sharing this now. Keep in mind that when we finally do release a playable version of this, it is probably going to be much different, a lot more polished, so keep that in mind. Work in progress as always. You guys already know that though, you don't need me to tell you. So here's the summoner. As you can see, it barely fits on screen. It's a bit larger than the cougar. It looks larger than it is. In game, I actually feel like it needs to be a bit larger in game, but we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna try and see if I can't emulate the color we see in Mechassault 1's campaign here. A little bit more, a little bit less. Okay. I think that looks good. It could probably be a bit brighter. There we go. Because the way this looks, like on the menu scene, the post-processing makes the colors look brighter than they actually are. That's something I actually want to fix. I'd like to keep the menu more, like the actual customized menu, a little bit more true to the way it'll actually show up in game with the post-processing stack. Something to work on, but anyway, here's the first quality of life change I wanted to show off, because we did get a lot of feedback for this. Now when you select a mech, it changes. I mean, that is such a small thing, like that's not something that we deserve a pat on the back for or anything, but that's just like, it's finally there. Just know that we are hearing your feedback. I personally obsess over feedback. I'm always looking, I'm always checking online. I go to like those weird kind of not very well known forums and just looking for mentions of the game, and so yeah, I have seen your feedback. We're doing the best we can to get as much of it in as possible. Anyway, enough of me rambling. Let's actually play the game. I'm going to be using an Xbox controller today because my mouse is acting funny and I have to send it in. Corsair has like a 2-year warranty. I'm sending it in next week. So yeah, we're going to be using an Xbox controller today, and let's just get started here. New loading screen. Still really, really early. We're trying to do something more that emulates Mechassault 2, so that's something to look forward to in the future. Okay, and here we are. This is the summoner. Nice. I actually nailed the color. That's good. It's hard making it work on the menu. So a couple things to note about this build. It's still very early. Lasers don't have audio, but they do work. And for some reason I get hit markers for them. I don't... Kind of depending. I think I'm actually like hitting myself for 1 or 2 frames, and that's why it's giving me hit markers. We're still looking into it. But anyway. Let's go find our first victim here. So one of the things you're going to notice right away is I'm going to be taking damage a lot more frequently. One of the biggest things that came out of the alpha that we launched was we actually found a hit registration issue. The AI wasn't hitting the player consistently. The projectiles were just traveling right through. I'm not entirely sure what caused that. James was able to isolate it and fix it though. I just do the art, so I don't know what he did. He worked his programmer magic, and now just that fix alone made Grinder a lot more difficult, and so I've kind of rebalanced enemies' damage and health on a wave-by-wave basis. Trying to keep everything, as far as difficulty goes, consistent and fun and not too sweaty. I haven't quite found the balance that I like now, because, I mean, it's really easy to just get annihilated, but we're getting closer. I think people who said Grinder was a little too easy are gonna find a good challenge with this one. As you can see, the console at the bottom left is giving me errors. Bugs don't always exist at the surface level. I mean, that's kind of an obvious thing, but there is stuff going on in the background that we still have to fix, and this is kind of what we look for when we debug playtest builds and such. So the Arctic Wolf is actually the scariest mech right now, because look at how powerful Goss are. I think I've got to nerf them slightly, but yeah, they are scary. They are very scary. Also, ragdolls don't despawn. It's kind of fun to push them around. Surprisingly, the game performs really well despite the fact that none of the ragdolls despawn. Usually ragdolls are a pretty big source of, you know, power usage, but they actually work pretty well here. I've still got to set up some constraints for the bones. That's been on my agenda for a long time, but that's kind of a quality of life thing, and we're not at that. We're still like so early testing stuff that it's kind of hard to justify doing that right now, because I still have to. I know how to make armatures in Blender, and I know like the basics of animation, which is what I've been using up to this point. But as far as like bone constraints goes and the numbers and math behind that, that's kind of tricky for me. I haven't figured it out yet, but yeah, here we go. We're fighting the Summoner now. The Summoner is incredibly scary to fight. It melts your health. I mean, it is for all intents and purposes a heavy mech, and we buffed it. Like the Mechassault 1 version, I've been following the Mechassault on Kai community for a little while, and there's kind of this, the Summoner / Thor. We're talking more about the Thor because that's the loadout we're using, but the Thor, the loadout was considered to be kind of like mid to low tier for a long time, and we're starting to see that meta evolve a little bit. Some really good players are making the chassis come alive. But in Wolves, we did buff it. The machine guns, I mean, and that was just the engine change that did that. The machine guns are just way more consistent and accurate at longer ranges. We do want to add spread, but I kind of like the way they feel here. They kind of work like, almost like rotary autocannons for our MechWarrior fans out there. So yeah, we'll add a little bit of spread, but I do like to, I would actually like to keep that mid-range accuracy a little bit. Because the Thor, like, it is kind of a, you look at what it actually brings to the table, and for a heavy mech, it is actually not a very, like, packed loadout. The 4 machine guns are about all it's got. We gave it 2 extra lasers in Mechassault 2, and Mechassault 1 it had 2 lasers. We're giving it 4 this time. And I think that feels just about right. Though we'll have to see what the actual multiplayer tests, the kind of feedback we get. And hardpoint placement. This is an interesting parallel with MechWarrior, is that the hardpoint placement actually does matter, and that's something worth considering. In Mechassault, the aim assist would take care of a lot of that for you. In this game, not so much. If you're low and your opponent's cresting a hill or something, you're gonna have to account for that. Like, the SRMs are right up at the highest point. Those are the ones that you probably want to fire over a hill. So as you can see, the audio balancing is still kind of weird. That's something I want to fix soon. I have a lot to learn about audio balancing. That's why a lot of the sounds cut out. It was no one's fault but mine. I was totally responsible for that. I can't hit these SRMs for shit. Okay. No, I was totally responsible for that, and I kind of dropped the ball on that a little bit. Honestly, the audio cuts out in weird parts when there's just too much. And that's actually, I speculate, and again, I have a lot to learn about it, but I speculate that has to do with the priority slider. When you make an audio source, there's the volume and then there's the priority. Some sound effects are high priority and some are low priority, but if they're not perfectly matched, one sound effect will cut out another. So that's something I've been kind of stressing over, like, how do I deal with this? And that's just going to come through experimentation. There's a lot to learn. I mean, we're not like even close to professionals in any sense. We're learning just like anyone else who would pick up a project like this for the first time. That PPC is going to hurt. Actually, it didn't even hurt that bad. Oh, it's because I have the armor power up. See, because of the hit reg issue, we were never able to fully test the armor power up. And And now we actually do see the results of it. And it's not bad. It's pretty good. I don't want it to be too effective, but it works. Okay, this is the part where I usually die, because when you get 2 Arctic Wolves firing Gauss at you, it gets pretty dicey. I'm not completely happy with how Gauss is. It is definitely probably going to have to be nerfed at some point, because there is just no way around this. I'm going to try and get it before that explosion goes off. Maybe I can get past these guys. 2 summoners, though. I don't think there's a way I'm getting through that, but... Okay, I barely survived the Arctic Wolf. Cool. Oh, God. Hello. Yep, that's kind of scary. We're going to shoot and scoot a little bit here. So here's that use of the SRMs I was telling you guys about earlier. Just cresting over hills, that's a good way to use them. A little bit of gameplay advice from your boy when the summoner comes out. I guess it applies to the Arctic Wolf too, though. Is this summoner going to kill me? We live for a couple seconds longer. Those machine guns are scary, though. We lived! I don't know how we lived, but we lived. We're definitely dead now, though. We're not gonna make it through this. Doesn't mean we can't try. So there you go. Really quick. As you can see, Grinder is a lot more difficult, and we're still tweaking that, but we have heard that people are getting really far really easily in Grinder, and we wanted to balance that out. So that is something we're working on. And that's the gameplay demo of the Summoner. Again, very early, all that. I've already emphasized that lots, but I just want you guys to know 100% that is... It's going to feel different when you get your hands on it, but... I'm happy with where things are right now, honestly. There was a little while where I wasn't sure how things were going to come together. And I think the Summoner is kind of, for me at least, it's a sign that we're really coming into our own here. Like, Wolves is finally kind of the game that I imagined it could be. The Summoner's really adding to it. And there's more mechs coming. The Atlas is coming. I've got a new artist working on that. Really looking forward to seeing how that comes out. It's kind of what's really interesting, and this might inspire hope in some people and despair in others, but it's got a little bit of the MechWarrior Online Atlas. If you can think of the MechWarrior Online Atlas with the Atlas 2 proportions and like a gas mask, kind of, that's kind of where it's going right now. Still lots to do, still lots to change. We look forward to showing that off, and I personally am working on the Raptor 2, which is really exciting. Cannot wait to get that back in the game. That was my favorite mech from Mechassault 2. So there's lots going on. I really look forward to showing you guys more. And stay tuned. There will be news coming soon. I just, it happens as fast as we can get stuff done. So could be a month, could be 3 months from now. We really don't know. It's all in our spare time. So I talk a lot. Thanks for watching. And this has been Pajama Boy. And I will see you guys very soon.